Minutes to Midnight, Linkin Park's third studio album, taking a large step away from the gritty nu metal style that made the band famous. Everything in this video are my own opinions. I'm not saying they're objectively correct, so please feel free to disagree with me in the comment section. I would love to see your own personal ranking of this album, and also I am including the 2 bonus tracks from the deluxe edition. But without further ado, let's get into it. Starting off with In Between. This might very well be my least favorite Linkin Park song outside of the One More Light album. There's just no feeling, no pizzazz here, you know? The music never gets heavy or exciting or anything. The lyrics are okay, I guess, but lyrics alone have to be really good to make up for such an uninspiring and boring track like this. I don't think it even achieves that. Not to mention how a lot of this track just feels forced, like Linkin Park just needed another name in the track list. Not saying that I hate this song or it's objectively bad, but personally I prefer songs with more energy to them. It's more listenable usually than The Messenger, but it also has a lower ceiling because of the lack of emotion, so it's going at last for now. Now I know that earlier I said lyrics alone can't make a song good, and I stand by that, but Hands Held High feels much less forced music-wise than In Between does. The simplicity and basic repetition in the instrumentals allow the lyrics to take center stage, which isn't something that should be done way too often, but an occasional step away from the traditional structure when combined with such a powerful message can be nice. I didn't really like this song at all for a while, until I paid more attention to the lyrics, which speak on many of the political and societal issues plaguing the world, especially the US when the album came out in 2007. Most of the ideas are still happening today, sadly, which just shows how timeless Linkin Park are as a band. My favorite line is where Mike's talking about the president stuttering, which was referring to Bush then, but now can be applied even more so to Biden. I don't care about politics at all, but I just thought that was pretty funny. Another cool thing about this track is the contrast between the amen sections and the frequent cussing. But yeah, definitely not a strong track musically, but I don't think it was really trying to be that. It seems like Hands Held High serves its purpose well, and it's alright, just not the best. Shadow of the Day seems to be one of the most polarizing songs in the entire Linkin Park community. I mean, it's decent, okay? There's some progression within the instrumentals, the vocals are nice, but there's nothing super exciting going on. The only thing that really stands out at all is how the instrumentals seem to get almost happier and more hopeful throughout the track, while the lyrics keep reinforcing that depressing idea that one day everything's gonna end, we're all gonna die, and there's nothing that we can do about it. I think the progression is the main aspect, taking Shadow of the Day above Hands Held High, as well as the presence of the guitar, which is always a plus. It can be a little boring at times though, it takes a long time to get started, which is why I'll skip this song sometimes, but overall it's pretty decent. The Little Things Give You Away, according to most opinions I've seen on the internet, is Linkin Park's most underrated song and a hidden gem. But like, if basically everyone thinks it's underrated, is it still underrated? Seeing the little things get so much praise has almost made it seem overrated for me, to be honest. Never really understood the vast outpouring of love this song has gotten over the years. Like, sure, it sounds fine, but I don't get how people are so enamored with it. The Little Things is probably a below-average Linkin Park song, not including One More Light, and most of it is honestly just, I don't know, boring. The only part that really stands out is the chorus, which is nice, and sometimes the bridge. None of the other parts make any unique impression on me personally, but I'm still being generous and giving this song a 7, because it does kind of hit sometimes at the end of an album binge before the bonus tracks. Across the Line is one of the 2 bonus tracks from Minutes to Midnight's Deluxe Edition. I wasn't too sure how to feel about it at first, but as time went on, I came to enjoy it as a pretty good Linkin Park song. Now admittedly the lyrics aren't great, and that weird opening electronic riff gets in my head sometimes, but the bridge totally saves this song. I think Across the Line would probably be bumped down to a 7 without the bridge, but the scream and the actual build-up during the bridge definitely make it a lot better. Screaming is pretty genius in its placement too, to me being the outburst of anger because of whatever situation this person in the lyrics is going through. Now I'm assuming the lyrics are meant to describe a war or a gang or something like that, but I feel like they could be applied to a wider range of experiences to suit the listener. The last chorus feels like a last hurrah of sorts. Maybe in a situation of war, it would be this character rushing into battle and vengeance for his falling brothers, knowing that he may not make it out, and if he doesn't, that he's going out with a bang. The fact that this isn't even the most heartbreaking song on Minutes to Midnight says a lot. Leave Out All the Rest deals with the fear of being remembered poorly, and that's a very real and difficult fear to have for many people. Once you're dead, you can't come back and fix the things you did in life. You can only hope to live a life that people will appreciate and honor when you're gone. And this could be wrong, but it seems like the person singing this song doesn't think they can be redeemed for the things that they've done, so instead asks other people to forget the wrong that he's done, It's a beautiful and soul-crushing song, definitely a real tearjerker, even for Linkin Park, and that's saying something. My favorite line is, "Pretending someone else can come and save me from myself." It serves as a painful reminder that no one can just come in and save us like that. We have to also make an effort ourselves. What I've Done is of course one of Linkin Park's major hits, popularized initially by its featuring in the 2007 Transformers movie. From what I've seen on the internet though, What I've Done has a very wide range of opinions surrounding it. On one side you have those who prefer the first two albums only, and on the other side you have those who prefer the poppier and more mainstream sound. And then in the middle is the rest of us, including me. I like it, it's by no means the best song on the album, but it's very good and respectable overall. What I've Done is about on the same level as Numb for me, maybe slightly below, like barely. Go watch my Meteora video, by the way. Now, obviously this track is a bit overrated, being a massive hit like this, but I wouldn't call it disappointing. It still holds up well, and it's a very good song. Here it is, boys, the song we all blast every year on February 14th. Valentine's Day is about the pain of losing someone you care about, which in Chester's case seems to be his father. While I've been lucky enough not to lose somebody I really love yet, this track can be used for situations other than death in my opinion. It could be about loneliness in general, or a breakup, etc. The song's structure is very unorthodox. It takes over 2/3 of the runtime to reach the first energetic part. Minutes to Midnight tried a lot of new things, and tracks like this and Hands Held High are good examples of that. I think Valentine's Day is the perfect amount of different. Let me explain. The 2 straight minutes of simultaneous calm and heartbreak are so perfectly balanced to create that sinking feeling in your stomach. Like everything that you were feeling has been pushed aside to make way for the loneliness that this music emanates. Then out of nowhere the climax of the song hits and emotions are everywhere, but none more apparent than the loneliness from before. There's just so much you can take from these lyrics, and I believe that almost anyone can identify with it at least some level. Minutes to Midnight is chock full of emotional anthems like this, which is one reason it's such a great album. I'll try to keep this one shorter, but In Pieces has grown on me more than almost any other Linkin Park song. At first listen, I thought of it as just another copy of In Between in a way, slow, anticlimactic somehow, and uninspired compared to the first 2 albums. Over time though, I've come to appreciate the softer tone that it utilizes. For a while I basically had this preconceived notion that any song without a lot of guitar or a catchy hook was bad, which just isn't the case. To my past self, I say keep yourself safe, if you know what I mean. I think the softness through most of this track is actually pretty genius, as it presents this tone of dignity, this refusal to get angry because you know you're in the right in some situation. Even the final chorus doesn't feel angry per se, but rather like you're taking your dignified final stand. In that way it's sort of similar to From the Inside, which I talked about in my Meteora video. Go check it out by the way. In Pieces I think is most well known in the community for the awesome guitar solo between the second and final choruses. It's probably Linkin Park's best guitar solo, especially the second half of it leading into the last chorus. This guitar solo acts as the transition between soft and still soft but less soft. It's a very good song, would recommend. Let me preface this by saying No Roads Left is quite possibly the highest ceiling track Linkin Park has ever made, at least for me. I don't mean music-wise, as it's nothing really special instrumentally or vocally. The way in which No Roads Left is so special is emotionally, whether it's the lyrics or the vocals or something else. This can be the band's most beautiful and touching song in my opinion. Of course, with these types of songs where the instruments and melodies take more of a backseat, my opinions on them will be increasingly based on the lyrical content. Out of every single piece of music this band has ever made, No Roads Left resonates with me on the highest level. Every single detail, down to each individual drum beat, is perfectly synced together to produce the literal essence of sadness and regret, and there are few songs in the world that can accomplish that to this degree of pure emotion. I could go on and on about every single instrument, every lyric, but I don't want to put you to sleep, so you're welcome. This song is near and dear to my heart. Its emotional ceiling is off the charts. I love it. I know they'll never see this, but thank you for Linkin Park for making this amazing, depressing piece of music. We are finally back to the heavy songs. No More Sorrow, which I didn't realize until recently was another anti-Bush song. And since I was barely alive when this album came out and I know nothing about 2007 politics, I'm not going to discuss the lyrics. I almost take No More Sorrow as a sort of angrier, distant cousin of In Pieces. As for the music, I love the more metallic guitar of the intro and bridge especially. And obviously the screaming is great. There's not a whole lot of it in Minutes to Midnight, only 2 or 3 tracks that really use it. The bridge is great too, probably my favorite part of the track. Also the last chorus is a great ending, with the scream at the end capturing the whole song off. There's not much else I can say here, but No More Sorrow is great. Bleed It Out is known for its catchy riffs and beat. This was one of the first songs I ever heard from Linkin Park, the same day I discovered Faint on Beat Saber. I think it's one of the band's most catchy for sure, especially the rap verses and the chorus. I also appreciate the more subtle aspects of the crowd clapping to the beat, and the tambourine of all things in the background. This is one of the more unique tracks on the album from a sound perspective. We've still never seen Linkin Park try something like this since, as Mike's role sadly became more singing than rapping in the future. These lyrics here are a bit more difficult to interpret than most of the previous songs on the list, but I'll try. The chorus seems like this person is digging deeper into the depths of their struggles to try and get rid of them, scarring themselves in the process. The bridge looks like the person is screaming at some enemy about their scars that the enemy perhaps even had a role in creating, maybe an abusive parent or ex or something. The whole song to me feels like a spiteful story of self-improvement. The beginning feels very sarcastic and arrogant, progressing through the song until the bridge shows off the person's progress, displayed in the line, "I've pulled myself so far." My interpretation may be different from the consensus, and it probably is, but that's the beauty of music. Given Up is one of the heaviest, if not the heaviest song Linkin Park has made, especially lyrically. It opens up with this angry low-pitched guitar riff and some heavier drums, which I feel like we're not too used to seeing other than from No More Sorrow and the Hunting Party. Lyrics are very angry, obviously. I mean, the song is literally about an angry breakdown that just leaves you wanting to give up and stop feeling anything. The verses' lyrics are just impeccable, especially the first verse. The verses have this atmosphere of desperation, like you're on the last straw before the chorus hits and the breakdown fully happens. The chorus, as I mentioned, is like the initial breakdown, the flurry of confusion and anger. Given Up is undoubtedly one of the band's highest ceiling songs emotionally when you're angry or about to lose it. That bridge, though, you know I gotta talk about the bridge. Chester has a 17-second long scream. 17 seconds. That's super hard to do. I can barely do it some of the time. Not to mention the entire bridge before that is also screaming. Also, probably the most impressive part of all this is that right after the 17-second scream, he goes right back to singing in the chorus. The sheer vocal fortitude this man possesses is ridiculous. Given Up is definitely a top 10 Linkin Park song in my book, or at least close. It's barely outside that elite S-tier category, but that's fine, it doesn't really matter. Overall, I would say Given Up is the best song Linkin Park made from this album and the next one, 1,000 Suns, which I will talk about in my next video. Well, there you have it, my very amateur review of Minutes to Midnight. I hope you enjoyed it at least a little bit. If you'd like to see more rock music content from me in the future, please consider sticking around. And even if you're just here for Linkin Park, I've got 5 more videos on them planned for the near future. I put a list of bands that I want to cover in the future in the description of the video if you're interested. And hey, if you see one of your favorite bands, stick around and my video making skills will have gotten better by then. Hopefully. Again, I would love to see your own personal ranking of the album in the comments section. And as always, thanks for watching and have a nice day, guys.